All right. For those who have seen me before, I am starting up my podcast again. So Perks Pod Podcast. I talk about a lot of stuff on this particular podcast. I used to do it through Spreaker.com, which is hosted by I think iHeartRadio. You had to pay for it every month. I decided that I was gonna go to just post it on YouTube, so I don't have to pay for it all the time. And I thought I decided to start it up again after I've been watching like different podcasts and stuff like that. So I got my audio going with brand new mics because, as some of you may know, I had my stuff stolen out of my car last what was it, October, November. I got my car broken into in Atlanta, and they stole all my stuff. They stole my laptop. They stole quite a few bits of technology. I have replaced pretty much everything that has gotten stolen, but I haven't gotten back on my podcast in a minute. And I was just looking at podcasts recently and was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna start doing that again because it was fun and I like talking about it. And I had just kind of tapped into my own natural way of speaking with you guys through the podcast and my own little vibe that I like to do. Um, uh, I would say that I've been listening to podcasts recently, especially the Fresh and Fit podcast, which to some may be very controversial, to others may be very enlightening, to most maybe a little bit of both. It definitely was a little bit of both to me. And I thought I'd just, start doing things again. So as you can probably tell on YouTube from the title of this podcast, it's definitely going to be a versus type of podcast. What I mean by that is we're basically going to be comparing and contrasting certain things about life in general in certain aspects. I did reach out on Instagram and see if somebody can give me some ideas for a podcast. And most of the ideas kind of followed along the lines of one thing versus another. One's going to be very kind of philosophical, one's going to be very informational, and one's going to just pretty much be for fun. And those people that responded to my Instagram, if they watch this podcast on YouTube, are going to know which one they submitted. So here I am back again, Perks Podcast, with new equipment, new stuff, and definitely new material to go over. So one of the first things I do want to go over, oh, by the way, I do have a TikTok live going on just in case somebody wants to, I don't know, chime in or give any more ideas during the podcast. And this is the first time I have this setup where I have the microphone live. I'm talking to the camera. I'm going to post the podcast with the video on my YouTube. And this is the first time I'm doing something like this. So no matter how few or how many people are going to watch, I'm actually excited to do this and just to see where I can go with it and see how many people are interested. So, first off, it is a versus podcast. And one of the biggest things, it's kind of ambiguous, but I'm going to, I guess, take my own path with breaking this thing down. One of the people responded to the old society versus the new society. And there's so many ways I could take that. And I did ask the person to kind of, I guess, make it a little bit more specific and see if I have any other topics that are, I guess, more pinpoint that I can talk about. One of the things that she mentioned was technology, but I think I'm going to go ahead and, due to the fact that I've been watching the Fresh and Fit podcast recently, I feel like I want to talk about men and women. And I might get a little controversial here, and things might be said that some people may not agree with, or what have you. But I feel like getting into that. So one of the things that I've noticed with past society versus the now society. One of the things that the people of Fresh and Fit have commented on that I completely agree with is that women have changed a lot. in how they react in society and how they move and how they basically create their own living. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I actually support it 100% because I would consider myself a feminist. Equal rights for females, and the equal opportunities for them to do exactly what men do. However, things are getting a little bit dicey when it comes to relationships between men and women. Nothing wrong at all with the rights and the ability for women to do exactly what men do. However, there is a very spicy relationship between men and women when it comes to relationships and people moving in those such relationships and talking about what values is proper to carry out in such relationships. Now, I do think that women are at a much bigger advantage than they've ever been, ever. So when it comes to anything with legality, anything with relationships, anything socially, I think women have a much bigger upper hand than men do. And when it comes to being in relationships or having a relationship with another man, there has been some kind of miscommunication as to what men still want and what women are now wanting. And the thing is, a lot of the times, many women like to aim for the traditional man. Aim for the traditional man as far as how he acts, how he treats you, what he does as far as the whole chivalry thing is concerned. And the thing is, people cannot expect to be traditional and not expect traditional from, or, okay, let me reword that. People cannot be untraditional and expect traditional from their significant other. So my thing is, no matter how independent you are, no matter how much you have going for yourself, no matter what you are doing in your life, you cannot expect someone to adhere to completely traditional characteristics or completely traditional habits, and you are not traditional yourself. That goes for men and women. So with women, you cannot be, out here doing your own thing, being a boss, doing whatever you need to do, making your own money, doing all this, and expect your man to provide for you, to cover most expenses, to take care of you, to do all of this thing. Because here's my thing. As much as you would enjoy for that to happen, the reality is that you're not in that position to be taken care of, because you're taking care of yourself and you have everything going for you. So my thing is, with the whole man taking care of you and the situation and providing for your household and being that support system and that rock, it kind of butts heads with you also being the rock that you are, providing for yourself, supporting, and everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. However, you cannot expect a man to be completely traditional, completely chivalrous like the old days if you're not acting as such. And I think that a lot of relationships kind of go to the wayside because people don't kind of try to fit their own, version of what they want in their life. I think compatibility is one of the biggest things that you need in a relationship for it to succeed. And in order to be compatible, you have to mix and match those things in a way to the point where both parties are contributing what they need to and they're not overstepping each other's boundaries. So, me, I will admit, I have different aspects and different thoughts as to what I would like my woman to do. So there are certain traditional old school values, and there are certain new school values that I would like in my woman. And I'm not going to go for someone who is completely old school or is completely new school because of the fact that I'm not that way myself. And my job is just to find a woman who fits that criteria and that fits that mold. But if you try to force someone who is not willing to, you know, I guess conform to your ideal of what you want from a woman, it's not going to work. And no matter how pretty she is, no matter how dope her personality she is, if you require a completely traditional housewife type woman and she's not on that time, it's not going to work out. And that's perfectly fine. I'm someone who, to be honest, I don't see myself with a housewife. I don't, however, I would say that could I see myself with? I could possibly, especially with the aim of life that I'm taking, especially with the goals that I have in mind. Is a housewife completely out of the question? No, but I know that my preference and what I enjoy having in a woman, in a spouse, in a partner, in a relationship, is just not housewife movement, I guess you could say, and stuff like that. And to compare old school and new school society, I'm going to move away from relationships a little bit. Social media is probably the biggest factor of new age movement, regardless. I think social media has taken a foothold in relationships. It has taken a foothold in how you present yourself. It has taken a foothold in how you move. It has taken a foothold in your career because people are now getting paid for stuff that they do on social media. I won't say now like it's recent, but I'm in the generation that I consider us the transition generation. My generation, transition generation. I was born in 97. What generation I'm a part of can technically vary whichever website you look at, whichever site you go to when you Google what generations are what years or whatever. However, I know that I grew up with social media not being the biggest thing when I started learning about the world and growing up, and then it slowly conforming into the power of what social media holds. So I saw that change. I grew up with that change. My parents and other family members teaching me what you should do to be successful in the future, to what you should do to take care of yourself. And it all changed with social media, with especially YouTube at first, which I'll be posting on now. But YouTube was the big thing that started getting people to make money through online factors. People didn't have to go to the traditional jobs, the warehouses, the mills, the whatever that our older, our parents and our previous generation did to earn a living. They didn't have that option, and now we do. People in my generation and younger. So social media changed a lot. It changed a lot with relationships, how you present yourself on social media, what you post, what you decide to advertise out there now has an effect on who you are and what your partner is willing to deal with in relationships. I've dealt with this firsthand, of course. When I was a teenager in high school, my first girlfriend was in my senior year of high school. I didn't get my first social media until I was 16. I started my Facebook when I was 16. And even then, I barely had an Instagram. I didn't have Snapchat at all until I hit college. So, I didn't feel like I had to worry about that stuff. But now, you look at relationships and you see what you post on social media, and that actually has an effect on what your partner is comfortable with. And that didn't used to be a thing. So, society has definitely changed a lot. I won't say for the good or for the good or worse, for better or worse. There's pros and cons to different aspects of how society has changed when it comes to social media, how you react with your partner, blah blah blah. There's many of those, and I just think that there's there's this thing where I feel like people really need to come to terms with the fact that things are different now. How you act on social media, what you post on social media, that actually has an effect on your reputation and how others perceive not only you but your significant other if you have one. So people need to be careful of that. Society has also changed with gender roles, how men and women act in relationships, what their specific roles are, because, guarantee you ask 100 people and 99 people will say yes. Today in the workforce, especially with men versus women, is so much different from 20, 30 years ago. It really is. Regardless if you want to accept that or not, it definitely is. I've been in a relationship where the woman was the main breadwinner, and that's not I would say that didn't conform to the norm in, I would say, like the 80s and before. It was even the 90s. But that just wasn't normal for most relationships, and I've been through that, and I see how the dynamic is so much different from what people would expect. And I just say this: people need to be careful in what they do in relationships, because, like I said, you need to find your balance with what you do, with what your significant other does. If you can find a proper balance with the whole traditional and untraditional stance on how men and women gender roles are within a relationship, if you can find that balance, you will be all right. I did not find that balance in my last relationship. That's why it did not work. All right, moving on. Next on the verses, one of my friends mentioned taking a joke, how people take jokes now, how people react to jokes, and how people used to and how they do now. So my favorite comedian is Dave Chappelle. That's just say enough in it as it is about how my sense of humor is, about what I think is funny, what I think is acceptable, what I used to watch, Okay, so I think that I think the world has gotten too sensitive. In my genuine opinion, I believe that people have gotten too sensitive when it comes to the world of humor. I grew up in a world where there was very few jokes that were really off limits at all. And the crazy thing is, I am turning 26 in July. I'm not old. I am not an old person. I feel old sometimes, but I am not an old person. And, many videos have surfaced of old people saying or doing very questionable things, especially saying things. And people wanting to get on them for that, oh, you can't say that nowadays, blah blah blah, or that's not okay to do that nowadays. And it's sad that I'm only 25 and I already know how they feel. The jokes that I grew up saying, grew up hearing, grew up laughing at are not accepted today. People can get canceled for the stuff that me and my mother laughed at together watching, when I was growing up. I remember I had a debate. By the way, I like to play devil's advocate a lot. So on Instagram and Facebook, I do I'm not going to say I antagonize on purpose, but I like to ask questions. And people get a little hyped when I ask these so-called questions. And it's funny. But I had a debate with someone about the scene in Scary Movie 2. And if you watch Scary Movie 2, you're going to know what I'm talking about. If you don't, there's, this white girl in Scary Movie 2. And in the scene, she gets some paranormal D from a ghost, and I mean, it's funny. It's a scary movie too, and they kind of test the boundaries a little bit, and she's doing all this, getting moved and pushed up on the walls and stuff like that. Some paranormal sexual activity. I say. And someone responded to the clip. The clip was on Facebook, the clip of itself. And, it was just something to put there to laugh at. And someone put on there that it advocates for sexual harassment or rape towards women. And I had to say something. I had to say, because I grew up on the scary movies, especially the first two, with the Wayans brothers, that they had their hands in it. And I thought it was hilarious that, someone could watch that movie, see it, you know what, not even the movie, see the clip, and say that movie was advocating for basically infringement upon women's bodies and stuff like that, and advocating for such behavior. Now, when I was a kid, this was not an issue at all, because it was complete satire. It's a comedy. It's meant to make fun of certain things. And if you watch the movie, you would realize that she was so crazy about that ghost that she was the actual one who went after him with, like, okay, I understand that the whole scene started without her being aware what was going on. However, during the scene, she enjoyed it, and then afterwards, she had a scene where she was going after the ghost, and the ghost was like, "No, leave me the hell alone," and she was like, "No, give me that ghost D," and it was just all over the place. And to have people really upset about the scene itself, and to talk about how misogynistic, how much of a, I guess, infringement upon how people view women that it was, and it's just ridiculous. It's just a humorous scene, an outlandish scene that doesn't reflect reality so much as it was just meant to be funny. And people get way too offended nowadays. I'm not going to give any further examples. I'm not going to give it any further. I'm not going to go any further about what I think is funny and what's not, because honestly, we live today in a cancel culture. And I know that my YouTube channel isn't that big yet. I'm not that big yet. But as you've seen from people that have blown up, from people that do things, from people that get famous, there are things that come back from their past that haunt them, that get them canceled. And to me, I don't respect it at all. I don't respect it. And I think one of the best things I ever saw about it was Gabriel Iglesias. I don't know if it was most recent, because I don't know if he released anything super soon, super recent. But he released a special, I think, within the last couple of years, and he addressed the whole cancel culture thing. And he said, "What I said in the past could have gotten me in big trouble now. However, I do not apologize for what I said, because at the time, it was okay to say it." And you know what? I completely agree. I think that it is unfair to bash someone and to chastise someone for something that was said at a time where that was okay. And not only okay, but where it was funny. And it was. And I'll continue to keep that old school traditional, I guess, sense of humor, regardless of what anyone says. And the sad thing is, I can't share that with everybody. There are certain people in this world where I won't be able to share a certain sense of humor that I share, because at the end of the day, it's going to cause drama, and I am not one for drama. I'd rather just keep it to myself and just keep it pushing. So, this world taking jokes and what used to be acceptable, what is acceptable now, it's too much. It's too much. I'm only 25, about to be 26, and that's still not old. And I already find myself not being able to say the jokes that I used to as a kid, not being able to enjoy the same level of humor as I used to. So yeah, there's that, and it's just getting to a point where it's a little ridiculous. I like to stay within my certain group of friends, within, my people that I joke with and talk to. But as far as like putting things out in public, nah, I'm good. I just keep it to myself. I do want to keep this a little shorter because this is my first podcast back. However, the last verses that I'm gonna put on here, my friend Carlick Owens decided to say that I should do a topic about Usher versus Chris Brown. And that's tough. It's very tough. As you know, Usher is Usher. Chris Brown is Chris Brown. Usher I discovered through my parents. Chris Brown I discovered on my own. So even though they're not like too distant when it comes to age, I think that it is generational. Whether you think who is better or not, Chris Brown or Usher. If we go hit for hit, I'm not gonna lie, we could probably go all night with that. Like, we can go all night with it. Usher has released countless classics, just so many songs that you could mention and that you could refer to that is just amazing. And then Chris Brown, it's Chris Brown. If you want to ask for my honest opinion, who I think is better, I'm gonna have to go Chris Brown with that one. Like, that's I don't want to say that's hands down decision, but me and my soul, like how I am and what I like to listen to and what I like to get jiggy with, Chris Brown is he just takes the cake. And like I said, I grew up on him, and people that grew up on Usher say something different. And one saying I didn't grow up on Usher, but like I said, I knew Usher through what my parents listened to. I learned Chris Brown through what I listened to. So I not discovered Chris Brown, but like my music taste, I found Chris Brown through my own search, through what I was listening to, through what I liked. And Usher was something that I heard first on the radio or on my mother's or father's playlist as I was riding in the car with them. And that's the difference. Now, if we talk about like what I listen to nowadays, what I listen to on repeat, what I continuously listen to, Chris Brown takes the cake. And not saying that it's an easy decision. It is not a landslide, people. It is just a fact that I don't know. Chris Brown is he's just that guy. He's just that guy. Now I will say that when it comes to vocals, when it comes to taking care of your vocals and working on it and sticking with it, Usher has done a better job over the years. Me and said Carlick that offered this topic of discussion. He even said that, as far as taking care of your voice and doing things in the future, Chris Brown has not kept up as much as Usher has done, which I agree with the whole, smoking habits, with what he does as an artist, the fact that he also identifies as a rapper as well. Hold on, who's talking smack? Oh, snap. That's Lionel. I heard you can't dance. Somebody said that in a mixtape. Well, obviously, that's a lie. That's a whole lie. If you didn't know, Lionel is one of my homeboys, as well as Carlick, that I met through so Stranger Things, the show. Stranger Things had an experience, a walkthrough experience that you go through, and you pay for, and you do everything. Go through a whole scripted Basically, it's almost like a haunted house setup, but just in the world of Stranger Things. And it's really fun. And we worked in the mixtape area. And the mixtape area was where we didn't have a script. But it was still in the world of Stranger Things. It had different shops and different stores that you could go visit and look at. And we were the characters in the world of Stranger Things. And that's what we worked on as actors. No, I did not audition for Disneyland. No. If you didn't know, I can't sing. I'm not a singer. That's not my thing. Yeah, there was an audition for Disney that, a couple coworkers sent us that, is all about singing and stuff. But anyway, back to Stranger Things, it was living in the world of Stranger Things. And I'm not going to lie, I made a lot of connections that I will not forget through Stranger Things. Lionel and Carleek, probably two of my closest boys from that job. They're dope. Definitely did their thing in the mixtape area. The whole improvisation, ad lib. Not many people could top those two in that area. And they might say the same about me. I don't know. Carleek said it was a hot take that I was one of the best people in that job, but you know what I'm saying. I think I was one of the best people in that job. But yeah, it was a fun time. And those are my boys. And they're also doing great work in the acting career, and I will continue to support them as much as I can. And I know they'll continue to support me as well. And I love that bond that we created. But back to the current issue. Chris Brown. Chris Brown is my pick. I'm not sorry about that. I don't take that back. I will never take that back. No matter what his past was, no matter what happened. Actually, if you want to be honest, both of them have very sketchy histories and events that they partook in. So I'm not going to go into depth into that, but both of them have very sketchy events that surround their popularity. And you know what? I'm here for the music. Sad to say, but it's the same thing with Michael Jackson. I love Michael Jackson. I love all of his music. You think that all of the scandals around him and, around all that they were talking about is going to keep me from listening to his music? No. R. Kelly? No. He makes great music. It has... how I feel about his songs that he released, that they released, and how it impacted me as I grew up has nothing to do with how they were as a person. How I feel about the actions that they partook in and their decisions, that's for another discussion. But their music as a whole, separate from who they are as a person, the music is great. It is great. When everything came out with R. Kelly, you think I stopped listening to his music? No, I didn't. I mean, what are you gonna do? He's already been paid for his music. Like, what are you gonna boycott his music to make what kind of statement? To make what kind of statement? There's nothing you can do. The man's already been paid. He's already paid, and he's already paying the consequences for his actions. And that's has nothing to do with me. Has nothing to do with the music that I want to listen to. So hate me if you want to, but nah, I'm not gonna stop listening to his music. But I think this was cool. I did this kind of setup, turn the lights off, have this one light on me, set this microphone up, have my, oh, by the way, this painting is amazing. And this right here, this dolphin painting, I got from Hawaii. You will never, you'll never see the absolute craziness that goes with this painting, because I need to get a black light. If you get a black light, it lights up a certain way because of the type of paint that they used. It's absolutely beautiful. I finally hung it up today, and I went to Hawaii last September. But I just had a lot of time on my hands. I've been working on myself, working on getting things together for not only me physically, but mentally as well. And it also helped me, get this whole podcast together. It's been a while since I did one. But yeah, this painting is absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I look forward to doing this more often. I look forward to building my platform. And you know what? I've said this many times before on previous podcasts that I have on my YouTube. If you listen to it, because most of my other podcasts are, of course, audio only. But when you listen to the other podcasts, when you look at things that are on my YouTube, I want to learn how to become more consistent. I want to be more disciplined in doing stuff like this. Already physically, I've been going to the gym every day since the previous Friday before last Friday. So out of the last 10 days, I've only missed one day working out. Already starting to see a difference. Already starting to feel so much better. And I have been on a journey of physical, mental, and spiritual elevation. And I will continue to go on that journey. And I hope that you guys will stick with me through that journey. So for whoever watches this on my YouTube, make sure that you please support. Really, all you have to do support is like the video and subscribe to my channel. Two very free, very easy things. All you have to do is click 2 buttons. That's all. But I thank you for everyone that has listened to this, everyone that's paid attention, everyone that came on my live and stayed on my live. Lionel, you're a real one. That's all I got to say. You know, I just want to continue to do this and want to continue to just be a person of entertainment, of creativity, and I'm going to continue to do my stuff on the acting side as well. So, for those who want to know, I will keep you updated on the things that I'm doing. One thing I do want to keep from doing is advertising too much of what I'm doing, because what I want to do is I don't want to advertise myself as if I'm boasting, but I do want to advertise myself as if I'm doing what I need to do to further myself in my career. So you'll get certain updates. It's not going to be anything about like bragging about this or this role or whatever, but I do want to put that out there that, I'm hungry. Just like most other young people out here in the Middle Georgia, Atlanta area, I'm hungry. And I'm coming after some things, and I might have to knock some other people out to get to it, but that's part of the game. It's part of the game, and it's a game I love to play. But I really thank you for watching. I thank you guys on live for tuning in and listening to some of what I got to say. Once again, shout out to Lionel. That boy is he's doing some big things, and I support it all the way. And I definitely look forward to seeing what he got in store. You know what I'm saying? But I love you guys. This Parks Pod Podcast. I can't remember the outro I used to have. I didn't choose to look at the videos, previous videos before I started this. So, I'm just gonna end it on a good note. Please like and subscribe. Do what you need to help support me, and I will see you guys on a later date. So, love you. Be easy. Be breezy.